Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's meeting of the Audit and Performance Committee of the IJB, dated Monday the 28th of October 2024. Can I have any declarations of interest before we start? For those online, if you can raise your hand or put something in the chat box, that would help. I see no declarations of interest. Are there any apologies for today's meeting?
Thanks, Chair. We have no formal apologies this morning, but we do have a few members joining us online. When I call out their name, could they please confirm they're present? Beth Hamilton. She's waving. Martin Black.
Yes, I'm present, but I'm queued according to my screen.
And Bernie Campbell. I can see that she's online. So all other members are present in the Chambers, Chair.
Thank you. In that case, we'll move on to the order of business for today. Item 3 on the agenda is the audited annual accounts, and I'll hand over to Donna to introduce that. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. The first report that we have today is section number 3.1, which is the assurance received from partners. This report provides the assurances to the IJB of the effectiveness of the governance arrangements within Perth and Kinross Council, NHS Tayside and both the Dundee and Angus IJBs. NHS Tayside have shared their 23-24 annual governance statement as the vehicle to provide assurance, and the detail of this is within paragraph 3.2 of this report. Formal correspondence regarding assurance has been received from Angus IJB, and that is attached to the report in Appendix 1. Both Dundee IJB and Perth and Kinross Council have yet to finalise their annual accounts process, but a level of assurance is provided by the Dundee IJB internal audit report, which is detailed here in 3.4, and the Perth and Kinross Council governance statement provided here in section 3.2. The formal assurance will be updated to this committee on these two partners, and we expect to do so before the end of 2024 or very early into 2025. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions on this part of the report, please?
Chair, I'm not sure if you're still hearing me, but I'm still queued.
Well, Martin, we can hear you loud and clear. Do you have a question?
No, but I went from pre-live to queued. I thought I would be live. I was feeling my pulse here. I'm still here, I think.
Well, I think I'm not sure what the issue is with IT on that, Martin, but you're loud and live in the room here. We can hear you. Do you have a question for Donna?
No.
Oh, right. Okay, then. Thank you. I don't see anybody else with any questions. I must admit, I'm struggling to see everybody that's online in the screen that I have. So if you have a question, just if I don't invite you in to speak, then just speak anyway. Okay, there are no questions, and we'll move on to the recommendation. It is recommended that the Audit and Performance Committee note the assurance that has been received around the effectiveness of governance arrangements in NHS Tayside and Angus IJB. Note that assurance of effective governance arrangements in Dundee IJB and Perth and Kinross Council is expected by the end of the calendar year. Are we happy to agree the recommendations?
Read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bernie?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
That's okay. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Nothing like a bit of sound issues to keep you on your toes on a Monday morning. Thank you
Indeed.
very much. Right. Well, we'll move on to the next part of the which is the, I'm doing bits of paper here, which is the annual accounts themselves. And I'll ask Donna to introduce those as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very pleased to be presenting this report to the committee today. This contains the annual accounts for the financial year 2023-24 and the Audit Scotland Auditor's Report. Before looking at the details of the reports, I would like to thank Audit Scotland for their professionalism, advice and guidance throughout the audit process. This has been very much appreciated by all the team. Thank you. I would also like to thank Phil Gerard and Chris Jolly for their work throughout the year, ensuring we have effective arrangements for governance and performance, and for their considerable involvement into the preparation of the management commentary and annual governance statements within the accounts. Thank you both. I would, however, like to give a special thanks to the Health and Social Care Finance team. We're fortunate to have an experienced team that work very well, both together and with the services. They have strong technical and financial skills and have ensured strong governance and controls, providing stewardship of our finances. Their work and efforts throughout the year is very much appreciated and respected. I'd like to thank you, thank you, Mark, and give thanks to Mark Grant and to Callum Alsmeyer for leading the annual accounts process this year. You've both done an excellent job and worked well with the audit team and the finance teams in Perth and Kinross Council and NHS Tayside to ensure that the IJB has been able to meet this date today. As per the covering paper to the accounts noted in section 5.1, the audit opinion of the annual accounts of the IJB are unmodified, and this opinion is given when the auditor assesses that the financial statements are true and fair. The audit report recognises that the recommendation given in the previous year's audit has been implemented, and there is one new recommendation regarding financial sustainability. But I'll now pass to Audit Scotland and to Rachel Brown to present the auditor's report. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Chair. I'm your appointed auditor for this year and the rest of the audit appointment. Auditing standards require me to draw certain matters to your attention, so I'd like to run through the report briefly, if I may. Firstly, our audit is complete. Our audit work is complete bar the receipt of the final signed accounts, hopefully later today, and our final checks, after which I will sign them later today. I have one request for the committee. When we brought our annual audit plan, we asked you if there were any instances of fraud or events that you wish to bring to my attention. Before I run through the report, can I just check there are no matters related to actual or suspected fraud or any events that might have a material impact on the accounts that you've not already told us? Very quick thing, yes. Hopefully not.
None.
Did everybody hear that? Okay, yes. So if anybody has anything they want to raise or anything in response to that request from Rachel, can you please let us know now?
I've got none, but I don't know if you can hear me. It's not letting me unmute my mic. No, you're not.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, you
Beth.
can.
Thank you.
You can now. Okay, that's fine. No, I've none to report. Thanks.
Thank you.
None from me.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank
And
you.
thank you all. Rachel, if you want to continue, thank you. And there's none from me, just for completeness.
Thank you very much, all of you. That's good to hear. In addition to getting a signed set of accounts later today, we'll also get representations from the Section 95 officer, and you've got the wording of that further down your agenda papers. I'd just like to note there is nothing non-standard in there. There's nothing unusual in those representations. So at this point, I will run through my annual audit report. Firstly, pausing on paragraph 7 to confirm we have not undertaken any non-audit work and we have complied with the ethical standards that are required for our profession. So there's no change to the audit fee and there's no matters that would threaten our independence this year. The next substantive section of my report is on the audit of the 23-24 annual accounts, and as the Chief Finance Officer has pointed out, the audit opinions are unmodified, and while that's a result you would hope to achieve, it shouldn't be taken for granted. It's a good endorsement of the quality of the financial management and the quality of the annual accounts that were submitted for audit by the IJB, and as we say there in our key findings, they were provided within the agreed timescales and were of a good standard. We also bring to your attention our materiality levels that we use to inform our audit approach. So that's the level at which any misstatements are considered to influence decision making of users of the accounts. So they are reported to you at a planning stage and at the end of the audit. And just on paragraphs 14 to 16, to note that there are no particular significant findings to report on the accounts. We didn't identify any misstatements, so there's no adjustments between the unaudited accounts and the audited accounts before you today. And there's no unadjusted errors that I would need to request to be adjusted. The next exhibit gives you assurance that we have addressed the risk that we identified in our annual audit plan. So that gives you some information on how we have addressed that risk. And just to confirm that we did not find any indication of management override of controls, which is a presumed risk in all audits. That's not specific to Perth and Kinross IJB. I also note there were no objections to the annual accounts. People may object to local government accounts, but there were no objections received this year. The next section, because my report not only covers the annual accounts, it also covers the wider scope of public sector audit. So I will run through those wider scope areas, financial management being the first one. Say we conclude that the IJB had appropriate and effective financial management arrangements in place. I also note that planned use of reserves to support delivery, but also note the overspend in year, which has reduced your reserves. And we note that your remaining uncommitted reserves are slightly below the reserves policy level. And I'll talk about financial sustainability as a risk for the IJB shortly. So that summarises your use of reserves, your performance against your budget, planned use of reserves and unplanned use of reserves. We conclude that budget monitoring processes to inform IJB members were appropriate. And we note that appropriate internal financial control arrangements are in place, but those sit largely with your partners. So you're relying on those, hence the assurances that you've received in today's agenda. And we also concluded that your standards for the prevention and detection of fraud and error were appropriate. The next substantive section is on financial sustainability. And in common with other IJBs, we have concluded that the current models of service delivery are not financially sustainable. There's an ongoing overspend. You are forecasting that your uncommitted reserves, which is your contingency for unforeseen events, will be exhausted this year. I note that there's a financial recovery plan being actioned. But even with that financial recovery plan, the IJB is seeking additional funding from its partners. And I note that the partners are also feeling increasing significant financial pressure and may find it difficult to support additional funding requests. So we are recommending, as I have to other IJBs and public sector bodies, that you implement the financial recovery plan to get back on track as best you can and work with partners to transform services. You have a transformation programme, so a recommendation basically it says to progress that and work with, I would say work with communities. I've not referenced that specifically in the recommendation, but work with partners and communities to look at how to deliver services that will be financially sustainable going into the future. And I don't underestimate the challenge of that for the IJB or the partners. Next section is on vision, leadership and governance, and we conclude that the IJB's vision, strategy and priorities are clear, that your governance arrangements are appropriate and operate effectively, and that there's effective scrutiny, challenge and decision making. I also note that, as reported last year, recruitment challenges remain a significant risk for the IJB, but you are making progress against the 3-year workforce plan. And in section 5 of my report, which is use of resources to improve outcomes, we review your performance reporting and the performance that's in your annual performance report. And note that performance against national health and social care indicators is mixed. So we summarise this. This report has a dual audience for you as the IJB to hear my opinion on your annual accounts, but also to the Controller of Audit and to the wider public. So there's an element of reporting in this report things which you have already reported in your annual audit report. So we conclude that you have effective arrangements for managing and reporting performance, but we note we've drawn out some indicators there where you are performing well and others where there's challenge for the IJB, and also note that where performance has declined or it's not in line with target, you are looking into that and addressing those performance areas. And lastly, as Chief Finance Officer said, we've concluded that you have appropriate arrangements in place for securing best value, and that includes implementing the prior year recommendation for a best value self-assessment. And the appendix contains the one recommendation about financial sustainability going forward. So I'll pause there, and Mary and I are happy to take any questions on the report or on the audit itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Rachel. That was very comprehensive. Thank you. Can I look to those online first? If there are any questions for Rachel or Mary? No questions? Anybody in the room with any questions? No? No, thank you very much, everybody. Rachel, do you want to continue? Or is there more to come? That's you done for now. Okay. Okay, well, in that case, we'll move to the recommendations. Go to the recommendation. Okay, thank you. The recommendations on the annual accounts is that the Audit and Performance Committee note the contents of Audit Scotland's annual report to Perth and Kinross Integrated Joint Board and the Controller of Audit on the 23rd/24 audit. Approve the audited annual accounts for 2023/24 and approve the letter of representation for signature by the Chief Finance Officer, which is also included in your document pack. Can we agree those recommendations?
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. Thank you very much indeed. Now, and thank you to Audit Scotland, to Mary and Rachel for your attendance here today and for your very succinct and frank report. Thank you. I will now see if anybody wants to make any comments on the report. David, I think you have a comment you wish to make.
You know, when we write letters of complaint and we get angry about stuff, we will speak for hours and hours and hours. But when something turns out really well, all we do is, people normally will just say, thank you, that's really great. But this is a really good piece of work. And it reflects the quality. I'm sorry, I'm stealing Sheila's thunder, but yeah. And it reflects the quality of our financial management team and of the leadership of Donna Mitchell. The report also underlines the huge challenge we face regarding financial sustainability, and many of the decisions we're going to have to make we're going to be looking for the least bad decision to make, and there aren't going to be any easy answers going ahead. But so I'd like to thank the team. I'd like to thank Audit Scotland as the convener of Audit and Risk at Perth and Kinross Council. So thank you very much to everybody involved.
Thank you, David. Any comments from those online? Beth? Beth Hamilton?
Thank you very much. I suppose it's just I won't say much more than David's already eloquently said, but personally, I just want to give my thanks to the auditors, both internal and external. Have been great to work with over the last year, but more importantly to Donna and the team and all the work that they do to make this so easy. And as David said, it's a very quick meeting because there's nothing to complain about. It's all very good. So I'd just like that noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Martin or Bernie?
No, just to reiterate and say thank you.
That's what I may reiterate and say thank you. And it's what's frightening is we're going to have one of them next year.
Hopefully Martin will all be here to see next year.
Yeah.
So that concludes the business for today. David has quite rightly stolen a good part of my thunder, but I'd also just like to extend my thanks and appreciation to the wider management team within the Integrated Joint Board, who certainly make, I think, information freely available to all of us who are board members in a very frank and open way. I don't underestimate the challenge that lies ahead, and I think that you Rachel explained that very succinctly, but it's a significant challenge. And I do take on note your recommendation that we work with communities as well as with partners and how we deliver services. That's certainly something that we can take away and look at. We're already looking at that, but perhaps a little bit more closely to see how we can perhaps work with our council partners in particular who deal a lot with the community groups. So there's certainly challenging times ahead, and as Martin says, we'll be here next year again. But hopefully we will be in a better position in the recovery plan by then, and we will have not be in a worse position, is perhaps the best I can say, for given the financial constraints we're all facing. So that concludes the order of today's business, unless there's anything else somebody wishes to raise. Jackie?
Thank you very much. I'll not only steal your words, but I'll steal your microphone as well, Chair. It was really just to say a few words and just to note in the report the comments about the effectiveness of scrutiny and the governance and enabling good decision making. So as well as all the thanks to everybody behind this report today and the comments about going forward, there is clarity around that, and I think that's really important about the level of the task ahead and the nature of that, which doesn't make the task any easier, but it does make it very clear. And really just to say thanks to the committee for your challenge, your scrutiny over the year, and for your support as well. So thank you.
Councillor Illingworth, you wish to come back in again?
I'd also like to thank the finance team for the clarity of their communications, as we've just heard. All the presentations are 100% clear. We're all aware of what the challenges are and the difficulties are, and that's thanks to your work and your clarity of communication. So thank you again for that.
Thank you. If there are no other comments that I can see, then we'll draw the formal part of this meeting to a close. And I want to thank everybody for attending, particularly Mary and Rachel from Audit Scotland. And we'll go ahead and get the letter signed in due course. So thank you everyone for your attendance. Bye-bye.
Thank you.